Hey guys, welcome back to the Real Southern Garden. I'm Sarah, and today we're heading out to Lowe's to see what new arrivals they have for early June. Now is a great time if you're planning on adding any shrubs to your garden. Get them in the ground before it gets too hot. And I just want to see what other great things that they have. As you know, different things bloom at different months, so the big box stores get in, for the most part, they get in the plants when they're blooming because it's easier for them to sell them when they look pretty. So, right, the blooms are always what catches our eye. So let's go out, let's see what they've got. We'll check out the clearance section too. It's gonna be a fun day. We'll get ready for the weekend and see what Lowe's has.
So here we are pulling up at the Lowe's Garden Center, and they have a lot of their little 4th of July display, we'll say they're pre-potted plants already out, so really cute. And the first thing I came across were the different types of salvia. Perfect Profusion. I actually bought this one several weeks back, and it's in my front planters by my front gate, and I'm really liking it. It just continues to bloom. It's been a really fantastic bloomer for me. And then they also had some Nepeta, $13.48 for that size, and a couple different types of salvia. There's some daylilies here rounding out this aisle. And that last plant before the daylily was Veronica. And then we're gonna check out this end cap. We're gonna come back to it also. And then I'm just gonna show you a couple of the tropical plants that they have. So I don't buy a ton of these because obviously until I have a greenhouse, it's just a lot of trouble to winter them over, but $6.98 for most of these on this aisle. And then we move on to the annual 6-packs. They are still coming in at $13.98, and they still had quite a bit of a selection of those. And then we have some really pretty moss rose, $1.98 a piece for this size. This is one of my mom's favorite annuals to plant. And then we have more moss rose over here. It looks so good when it's all planted together like that, or in this case, it's just sitting on sitting on the rack, but it's so pretty. They also, of course, still have marigolds, and I love this beautiful, look at this pink right here. Oh my gosh, isn't that gorgeous? That pink celosia is just outstanding. I love that color. And then back here on this back rack, these were all $7.98. There's some daylilies back here, some Gara. I wish they had the white Gara. They just have the pink, and a couple other fun little things mixed in. And then we're going to head back around and go the other way and stop by one of these other little displays here. This mix for this container style was called Blown Away, and it was $39.98. I actually think that it's a little bit crazy for the price for that plant. It doesn't make sense. This little container was $12.98. Not so bad. Also $12.98 for all the cutie ones with the flag. And then the Bonnie plants, they don't have a lot of those left anymore, and this typically does happen when the weather gets hot. They start to pull all the veggies, and they just don't carry quite the same selection. So you might want to head out and grab some if there are any Bonnie plants that you do need or that you'll want. And then we're going to head inside. $1.98 for the annuals over here. That they have begonias and impatiens all along this entire row. And then some more options for the 6-pack annuals, also $13.98 for all of these. And then they have this other color impatient right here in the 6-pack, which I actually have that color in my front flower bed, so I chose that one a few weeks back. Some really pretty, we used to call these, we used to call them elephant ears, but they're caladiums, but as a kid I called them elephant ears, which is incorrect. And then some beautiful hostas here. all different kinds. Most were $6.98, some were $16.98, depending on the variety, depending on the size. I really love the heavily variegated hostas. Those are my favorite. And I think caladiums look really nice in containers for like 4th of July, mixing it with maybe delphiniums, like the red with the blue. I think that's really pretty. $1.98 for these little guys right here. I love the variegation on that plant. And then we're going to look at some of the shrubs that they have in. This gardenia right here was coming in at $14.98, the Echo Gardenia. And then they had a couple other different varieties. $9.98 for this one, I believe, if I remember correctly. Yes, $9.98 for that guy. That's a variety that I do have in my garden. And the Abelia, $19.98. That's beautiful, the flower on that one. And then some different crepe myrtles. They had some dwarf crepe myrtles, which I think were really interesting. I forgot about this beautiful purple, $18.98 for the Ruella. That's a gorgeous plant. And then the crepe myrtle, I think this one was a dwarf crepe myrtle. I can't remember, but look at the foliage on that dark kind of crimson-y red. Really pretty. And then on this side of the aisle, the crepe myrtle madness continues, and they are looking stunning right now. And like I said, this is the time that they try to sell them, when they're looking really great. Twilight Magic, $26.98 for that one. And then they had this other variety that was also kind of a deeper color, the deeper pink, $26.98. So around town I've seen a lot of different colors, but at this particular Lowe's they just, and I mean like in yards and that sort of thing, but they just had the deeper pinks here at this Lowe's. And then this was really beautiful. I love the color on this plant. It's really pretty. And then we have another gardenia, the Echo Heaven Scent, which we saw on the other aisle, but this is a larger size. They're just under $30 for this size. And then let's stop and take a look at some boxwood. So the better boxwoods are coming in at $12.98. I haven't grown this one yet, but I have heard really good things from it. So if you're in the market for boxwood, that might be a really nice one to try. It's supposed to be more resistant to blight and those kind of things. And I didn't see any Green Mountain boxwood, but they had this large wintergreen for $48.98. It wasn't in the best shape though. Compact Japanese holly, $9.98 for those. If you have a more full sun location, kind of gives you the boxwood look, but the holly will do a lot better in full sun than the boxwood usually do. Some of the boxwood will do okay, but they usually appreciate a little bit of shade from the hot afternoon sun. Let's see what they had back here. They had, this is, let me see. Oh yes, this was just absolutely gorgeous. Look at that Sunjoy gold pillar. What a beautiful color. $26.98 for this dwarf butterfly bush. And then they had lots of knockout roses in stock coming in at $25.98, and another crepe myrtle here. This is a slightly different color, I believe, than the one we just saw. Also coming in at $25.98, and this is the dwarf variety. And this one only gets about 3 to 4 feet high and wide, so quite the dwarf variety. And then here's all the beautiful knockout roses. I've had the yellow one in a previous garden, and it did really well. It was very healthy and had a good scent even. So I like the yellow a lot, and also like the double pink knockout that they have out. Then of course there's a traditional, more of a hot pink knockout that they have too. The miniature roses come in at $22.98. I just wish they had scent. They don't, but they're very cute. And then the blended iceberg here on the back, $29.98 for this one. $19.98 for this beautiful pink dianthus. Such an unusual dianthus. I really like that one a lot. Then we've got some daisies here, $13.48. And then, oh yes, beautiful. Look at this color. Isn't that just gorgeous? The salvia, so pretty. And then they had the smaller size delphinium, and then they had some larger ones around here on the back. These would make really great, you could put some in a container with some red flowers and make a really cute July 4th little container. $19.98 for the really large size. And this red hot poker, this is probably my favorite plant that I came across that I don't have in my garden. I think that would look really striking, planted maybe in front of some blue delphinium, or behind some blue delphiniums. $15.98. Wow, what a beautiful plant that is. We have $7.98 for the sedum. Really a neat texture on that plant. And then we have the Denver Daisy Rudbeckia coming in at $7.98. I always love like Rudbeckia towards late summer. I think they just look so pretty as like an intro into fall. $16.98 for this impatient. This is a sun patient, and then some more celosia and the yellow. What a beautiful healthy plant that is. And then we have these little drop-in containers of the multicolor impatiens. I love this little mix right here. Every time I look at it, it reminds me of sweet tarts. It doesn't really go with my front porch, but I do really love that color combination. And then let's head back and see what they have for hydrangeas. I did not see any of the oak leaf hydrangeas, but they had the little lime here. And I think they sold all their oak leaf actually. They also had, there's another one that they had that wasn't little lime, one of the other limes. This little guy, Limelight. And then they had the Bobo hydrangeas for $29.98. Those are so great for smaller gardens. And Little Lime for $29.98. And then I liked this little succulent hanging basket. Very expensive, but I thought it was very interesting, so took a quick peek at it. And then they had this hydrangea, $42.98, planted in this container with some ivy. So you could recreate that yourself for much less. Some more moss rose, just a different color. This is a form of coleus right here. It looks different though than the other ones that you usually think of. And then some Mexican heather at $5.98. Then they have these impatiens that are full sun or partial shade. They're similar to the sun patients, but Monrovia is the grower on these, I believe. And I think that they're a little bit different. And then check out this beautiful rust color coleus. I would love to have that towards the end of summer, early fall. That is just such a beautiful color. And then we have, I was surprised to see this is a periwinkle, because I think of blue when I think of periwinkle, but that's a really pretty color. And then some of the sun patients up here. The variety I bought was more of a true orange color, and it's been doing really, really well in my front flower bed, so I'm loving it. And what else do we have here? We have blue days, lemon coral sedum, which is just out of this world. I love this color. I need to add this to my garden. And then this plantain lily right here, I actually bought this on sale last fall, and I'm loving that also in my front flower bed. That's a great plant. And then I'm just gonna head back here by the containers and show you my favorite containers, which are the Pennington ceramic planters. They're made in Italy, and now they're being made in the USA. So I really love these ceramic planters. The terracotta, you know, they're the real terracotta through and through. And they still have quite a few big containers back here and planters, but not as many as they did have at the beginning of the season. So they have sold a lot. We're gonna head back to the clearance section and see what they've got. They had all of these ferns back here, but I couldn't find the mark out on their tags. I'm thinking that they are on sale, but I'm not sure. Then back over here on these racks, they had a lot of lilies that were discounted, and they were looking pretty healthy. So the lilies can withstand harsh treatment a little bit better, not getting watered regularly and that kind of thing. But the vinca that they had and some of these other planters were looking kind of sad, like just too far gone. I would not purchase these plants. But the lilies, like I said, they were looking really great. And I will show you, the Gara did not look too great to me. I'm going to show you the little discount sign so you can see what things cost. If it's over $15, it's 50% off. But most things end up being about 50% off of what they were. Like this daylily right here was looking totally fine. The Asiatic lilies were looking fine too. You could definitely buy those and they would be okay. And the salvia weren't doing too bad either. We actually bought some of these on the discount rack a couple months ago, and they're doing great now in the garden. It's always great to check out the clearance rack though, because you never know. These vinca were like $7 on the clearance rack. I would probably just purchase the brand new ones at $12 that are healthy. Like some of the plants don't make sense, but back here the mulch is still on sale, but they were 5 for $10 and now they're 3 for $10, but that's still a pretty good deal.
Thank you guys so much for watching. We would love for you to subscribe to our channel if you haven't. Give us a thumbs up, leave me a comment, let me know what's going on in your world. I love talking to you guys in the comments, and I will see you back here next time in the next video right here at the Real Southern Garden. Bye guys.